notepads right now, because this woman right here is about to drop some serious wealth nuggets, wealth strategies. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is your place of influence and change, hope and faith. Your place of daily transformation. The hour is now to shine our light. Together, let's grow. Find hope and elevate your faith. Reveal and step into your purpose. Impact your world today. This is your moment. This is your Impact Network.
Welcome back to the Jewel Tankard Show. Oh, let me tell you something. When I tell you, like, I'm just as excited about this show as you are, we have none other than mega investor. Yes, mega investor, wife of Robert Kiyosaki, bad in her own right. Put your hands together for Kim Kiyosaki. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you are here.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh goodness.
This is so fun. And Detroit, I've traveled all over the world. I've never been to Detroit. And and you're going to give me a tour. You're going to show me what's going on here, because years ago I heard Detroit was having major troubles.
Yeah.
Now it's coming back. I'm very, very excited to see
Yes.
what's going on.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yes, it really is.
Maybe there's a real estate opportunity here for me.
Absolutely. All right, girl. Okay. Yeah,
Maybe.
no, for sure. No, I just want to tell you thank you, because what I really have admired about you is that it's clear that you love your husband, and it's also very clear that you're very passionate about the gifts and the talents that have been put on the inside of you. And you're a mega investor and a girl investor, so that's just like a whole nother thing. And I know a lot of women are kind of afraid to invest,
yeah, they are.
that kind of thing. And so I just want to tell you thank you so much for the example that you've set in your books and your YouTube interviews. They are definitely making impact, okay?
Oh, thank you, Jewel. That means a lot to me.
Sure.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about, because you are such a phenomenal, I would probably venture to say, and I know there may be some other women that's not really on the radar that maybe are doing it bigger than what you're doing, but I would have to say you are definitely hands down within the top 5%. Even where I see real estate investing now, it's still very male dominated, but you've carved out a niche there where investing is. You're a real estate mogul, and then you're also part owner with your husband of the Rich Dad Company. So, and you made a statement in your book, one of your books, that really hit me. You said there was this one, you have to read the book, you'll find out who it is, but we all know who she is, married to someone very famous, and they went through a divorce. He left her actually a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Left her a lot of money.
She had millions.
She had millions.
Yes.
But after a few years, she found herself not doing so well, and so her real plan for success was a man. Her financial plan was another man.
Another man, yes. So she got all this money. She had no idea how to manage it. She had no idea how to grow it. All she knew, it comes to the mindset. The mindset of a poor person is you get money, you spend it. You get money, you spend it. So even though she had a lot of money, she still had a poor mindset. So she just spent till she was broke and in debt because she was borrowing. And she got to a point and she said, what's the next, what do I do now? Well, I'm gonna go find another rich man. And that, to me, is the worst thing a woman can do, because that really enslaves a woman. Money has the power to enslave you, but it has the power to set you free. And by marrying a rich man, basically the self-esteem, the hit to your self-esteem, to your self-worth, has to plummet. So I would have had another plan for her, but she didn't call me.
So talk a little bit about that, because women economically, you were sharing some stats with me last week, and I saw that. It's on Google. Anybody can Google, right? But talk about what's happening with women economically still today in 2019.
Well, they say, let's talk about female baby boomers. 20%, and I think that number's high. They're saying 20% of female baby boomers will have a secure financial retirement. I think that number's high. That means 80% of us, at least 80% of us, will not. And the average female baby boomer, I think like 50-some% have less than $10,000 set aside for retirement. But that's just retirement. If you look at today, they're saying that the average person, I'm going to say it's like close to 70%, would have a hard time coming up with an additional $400 for an emergency. So a lot of this, you know, we work so hard for our money, but for some reason, we don't think it's important to learn how to manage it and how to grow it.
Wow.
And then we turn it over to somebody who we think and hope and pray will do a better job and will manage it for us. I'm going to tell you, nobody's going to manage your money, take care of your money better than you.
Yeah, that's so good. And I feel like it's kind of like an old mindset that says, oh, you just handle it.
Yeah.
But really the best thing is education, which is how you went from owning one residential property, right?
Little
to now
2-bedroom, 1-bath house.
Little 2-bed. So talk about that. And now you own literally thousands of units all over the country. Wouldn't you say the education was key to that? I know Robert really was instrumental in mentoring you.
It's number one. Here's the thing, Jewel. It's not the investment that is risky. People say, oh, that investment is risky, or that property is risky, or that stock is risky. It's the investor that's risky. So it's the investor who doesn't have the financial education, they don't have the financial experience, and they go on a hot tip. That's risky. You know, when the checkout person at the food store is telling you what stock they're investing in, that's risky.
Right.
So we always say, if you get some financial education, and not to the point where you're doing analysis paralysis,
Right.
but arm yourself with some financial education, because if you increase your financial education, then your risk for investing goes down. So number one, and I'm learning every single day. It never ever ends, because you start with, let's say it's the first property. Mine was a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, scared to death. I was scared to death. All the fears, what if I lose money? What if I make a mistake? What if the tenant moves out? All those fears, because I didn't have the experience, but I did that deal anyway. But the financial education never ends. I'm working on a project today, was on the phone just before coming on here. Totally different product, totally different type of deal. And I'm so excited because I am learning so much. As soon as you stop learning, that's kind of the end of end of
And I think that's what happens, is that sometimes people are afraid to continue to learn because it's so new and foreign to them that they just end up saying, that's not for me. It's not that it's not for you. You're just not willing to educate yourself the way that you really need to educate yourself.
Well, on my little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, it was in Portland, Oregon, I looked for every reason why not to do that deal. Because I had to come up with a $5,000 down payment. I did not have it. And I was going to have this huge learning curve on how to run a property, how to manage a property. I was going to make mistakes. I was looking for a reason why not to buy the property, because that would have been easier. That would have been easier. Then I wouldn't have to go through all this learning curve. But thank God I didn't quit on it, and I did go through with it. And that little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, same formula I use today.
Wow.
No matter how many.
Wow. Wow.
Same formula.
So let me ask you this, like, how important do you think it is? Because some people like get in a crisis and then they say, okay, I need to start doing something with my money. Or some people say, no, okay, I'm gonna actually plan and I'm gonna start. How important do you think it is not to wait for a crisis before you start investing?
You want to not have a crisis. Yes, you do not want to have a crisis. I'll give you one other statistic that is a crisis. In the U.S., of the elderly living in poverty, 3 out of 4 are women. But of those women living in poverty, 80% of them were not poor when their husband was alive.
Wow.
So he passes away. She has no clue. Same with divorce. She has no clue how to handle the money. The next thing you know, Mr. and Mrs. Financial Helper comes along and says, I'll help you, I'll help you. And the next thing you know, she's broke. That's a financial crisis. So the reason I speak out, the reason I write, is because, number one, men and women, anybody can do investing. I think today every single person has to be an investor. And anybody can do it. And I write and I speak out because what I'm really about is freedom. Having the freedom to live the life you want. And I think investing, especially real estate investing, is a great avenue to that means.
That's powerful, which is why you started Rich Dad Company, which is why I started the Millionaires Club, because I wanted for people to know that financial education, wealth education, it's ongoing.
It is.
And I think you really have to understand, who am I listening to? Because some people are just focused on saying, hey, I'm going to help you get out of debt, which is great, but it doesn't mean that they're going to help you to become wealthy.
Right. That's a really good point. That's a really good point, because there's two things you need to do if you're going to start taking control of your financial life. Number one, you got to know where you are. You have to know where you are, what you've got, and where it is.
Yeah.
That's kind of the management.
Yeah.
But what the Rich Dad Company is about is then how do you grow that money
Right.
that you have?
Yeah.
How do you take that money and have that money work for you?
Yeah.
And the reason we started the Rich Dad Company, same as you've started your ventures, is because every business, every venture must solve a problem. And the problem we saw is that there's no financial education in the school system. And so we took on that problem to educate people about money, about investing, because we didn't think the school system was ever going to come around. We don't think the school system really wants people to know much about money. Matter of fact, we have a board game called Cash Flow. I took it to Harvard and to some women at Harvard.
Wow.
And said, let me show you this game and maybe we can do something with it. And the response from Harvard was, I'm sorry, we don't teach money at Harvard.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's a pretty powerful statement.
Wow.
So that's why we started the company. That's why we teach.
Yeah, yeah, because there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and being an investor.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that education really quick. We got to get ready to wrap,
Yeah,
but I want to hear that.
It's very different. Again, it goes back to mindset. So oftentimes the mindset of an employee is, I want a safe, secure job with benefits. That's the mindset. So they often take that mindset into investing. I want safe, secure, no risk, and that's where the 401ks, that's where your mutual funds, that's where they feel safe. Although there's not, with fees and everything, you're actually oftentimes going backwards.
Right.
All right? But then you get into the entrepreneurial mindset of, if I don't sell, I don't eat. It's up to me, I'm in charge, I have to make things happen. And if you take that into the investing mindset of, I've got to get educated, I've got to learn, I've got to learn how to make my money work for me, I've got to learn how to get a good return on my money, that makes all the difference. So it really is a mindset shift.
You guys, this has been so good. Oh my goodness. Woo, so good. So listen, we'll be right back after this.
This is your place of influence and change, hope and faith. Your place of daily transformation. The hour is now to shine our light. Together, let's grow. Find hope and elevate your faith. Reveal and step into your purpose. Impact your world today. This is your moment. This is your Impact Network.
Welcome back to the Jewel Tankard Show. Woohoo! Man, I'm learning so much. Such a great segment with Kim. I know that it blessed you just like it blessed me. And so now our next segment is called Ask Kim. Yes. Right? Because so many people have questions for her like I do. And so this is some people from our studio audience. Let's give it up for them. Yes. Awesome. All right.
Hey, Kim.
Hey, what's your name?
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. In business, when do you know if you should step away from an endeavor, or when to work harder, or even when to be patient?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. That is a great question. The first thing you want to do, I find, with a business is why are you in your business? What's the mission of your business? What's the purpose of your business? And as we talked about earlier, every business must solve a problem. So what's the problem that your business is solving? I always look at this this way. As you're going through your business, you're going to get positive taps and you're going to get negative taps. And every tap, positive or negative, is teaching you something. So especially the negative ones, when a mistake happens or something doesn't go the way you want, and you hit a wall or you have a setback, you look at that and what's the lesson in it, because every mistake is just telling us something that we didn't know, right? So as long as there's positive and negative taps happening, there's good things happening and some of the negative things happening, I keep pushing forward. If all of a sudden it's all negative
That's good.
and there's no positive
That's
happening,
real good.
then you might want to start asking yourself, am I really on purpose? Am I
Yeah.
really, is this business really what I should be doing?
Yeah.
Because if there's no positive happening, maybe you need to look at either a correction or something new.
I love what you said, because sometimes we stop doing business because we're looking for it to be perfect.
Yes.
No business is going to be
Never.
perfect. You're going to always have challenges, but I like what you said. If it's just all negative and you can't find any good in it, then yeah, I agree with that. That's really good.
And one other thing, they did a study of centenarians. These are people that lived over 100 years old, and what were the common denominators. And the common denominators, I think, are the common denominators for entrepreneurs. And one is they must have a purpose. Two is they must be positive. And so we want to surround ourselves with a lot of positive people, because a lot of times people are telling us we should quit. You're crazy. Why are you doing this? This is not, because they're afraid to take that
Right.
step and to reach out. But the third characteristic was resilience.
Wow.
How well you come back from a setback. And
Wow.
as an entrepreneur, you have got to be resilient,
Yeah.
because you're going to hit the wall, you're going to hit the setbacks, you're going to come across obstacles, you're going to come across people saying no all the time. And as an entrepreneur, you've got to have that resilience and that
good.
persistence.
That's good. Wow.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great question.
Resilient.
Great question.
All right.
Hey, Kim.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Norma.
Norma, great to meet you.
Nice meeting you too. What is the best legal structure for holding real estate?
Oh, the best legal structure. Okay, I'm not an attorney, and that's a great question, because the first thing I would do if I was going to be purchasing property is I would find a good corporate attorney who understands real estate, specifically a real estate corporate attorney. The one thing I do know, because I did it, is I'll just tell you a quick story. Robert and I had all of our properties, our rental properties, in our name, in our personal name. And I went to the seminar one evening, and the guy on stage said, the poor and middle class hold everything. They control everything and hold everything in their name, and the rich control but hold nothing in their name. And he went on to this whole thing about lawsuits and how people can sue you, and if you own the property personally, they can not only come after your property, but they can come after everything you own, your personal house, your cars, your business, everything. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get all this done now. They're going to all sue me tomorrow. Everybody's going to sue me tomorrow. So within 48 hours, I had every single property in the correct entity.
Wow.
For us, it was LLCs, limited partnerships, things like that. But what I learned is not to hold businesses, not to hold property, rental property specifically, in your own personal name, strictly for asset protection. So find a good asset protection attorney, because I'm not an attorney. Find a good asset protection attorney, and they can advise you.
That's good.
Thanks.
Yes.
Do you own your properties in your personal name?
No, LLC.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
LLC as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. But I'm doing some restructuring a little bit
Okay.
with that. Yeah.
Good.
All right.
Hey,
Hi.
Kim.
Hi. What's your name?
Tradina.
Trinina. Nice to meet you.
What obstacles did you or do you face as a female real estate investor?
Great question. Number one, I face obstacles and mistakes every single day. Every single day. Only because if you want to, one of the keys, I think, to personal growth and personal development is you've always got to be in motion. But not doing the same old thing every day, right? Not doing the same old thing, but doing things that take you out of your comfort zone, even just a little bit, because that's where growth happens. So I'm always making mistakes and I'm always learning. But I'll tell you this, as a female real estate investor, I really haven't faced obstacles as a female. And one thing I've learned is that the markets, whether it's real estate market, stock market, the markets don't care whether you're male or female. They don't care if you're black, white, or purple. The markets only care about how smart you are with your money. So that's why the whole financial education piece, you'll run into real estate brokers, real estate agents that don't know what they're talking about. And with a little financial education, you're going to know more than they do. So that's why financial education is so important, because as you get out there and you know what you're doing, And I'll tell you one thing about women. Women will do the homework. They've actually had studies done on female investment groups, all female investment groups that outperformed all male investment groups.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of it was because they did their homework. They were not risk averse, but they were risk aware, aware of the risks. So they made better decisions. So I think women have a huge advantage as real estate investors. I think they have a huge advantage as entrepreneurs and business owners.
Yeah.
It's just up to us women to stand up and start going for
And
it.
start doing it and
start
not
doing
being
it.
afraid of, you know, because most of the guys, would you say that most of your contractors and the people that you all have to help you with managing and contractors are men?
Almost all men except the property managers that interact with the tenants.
Okay,
They're
right.
mostly female.
Okay.
Because they do a fabulous job at that.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Yep.
think that just getting that confidence to know, hey, I am going to have to work with a lot of men, and I think that, you know, you may have to, I don't know, just be kind of firm, not be afraid to ask for their opinion, but also at the end of the day, make sure that you have the final say, because you are probably going to be working with a lot of men. I have a female contractor here that I'm so excited. I'm like, a girl, yay, you know. But I think just getting okay with that. So that was a great
And
question.
to your point too, the one thing I do is I ask questions all the time.
Yeah.
And I learned this from a gentleman. He was 94 when he passed away. He was a mentor of mine. His name was Frank. And Frank was expert in taking companies public. And he would meet somebody who was brand new at it, and he would say, tell me what you know. So tell me about how to take a company public. And they didn't know that he was an expert at it, but he still thought he could learn from every single person.
Wow.
So he was curious like a kid, and
Yeah.
he would ask questions. So I want to hold that characteristic of being curious like a kid all the time.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I think that's important. That's so good.
Yeah, great
All right,
question.
Great job. Yeah.
you.
All right.
Hey, Kim.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Darnella.
Darnella.
And my question is, when starting out as a new real estate investor, is it best to purchase a single family or a multi-unit property?
Good question. I say the first two steps. Number one, of course, get some financial education, learn the language of money, learn the language of real estate, learn what a return on investment is, learn what a capitalization rate is, get some education and learn the language of money because there's a lot of jargon. And then we both Jewel and I always say, start small. Start small because there's a big learning curve. Had my first property been like a 50-unit apartment building, I would have lost a lot of money because I wouldn't understand the fundamentals. So I want to start in anything I do, any new venture I'm taking on, whatever it is, I start small, I put a little money down, and then I learn because I know I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes are the teachings that are going to take me to the next level.
Yeah, that's so good. That's really good. And I think that I would probably say, like she said, the education, and I probably would just do it one single, just because there are so many things that come up, whether it's in plumbing or the electrical
When
or
the tenant moves out,
yeah, right,
Let that
exactly,
happen, yeah.
right. You know, so many different things that can happen that you really didn't have foresight on until you actually get in the trenches of it. So, like she said, starting small and then making sure that you have a team that you can trust, right? Because you're not going to be able to do everything, right? Finding those people that you can work with. I know you and Robert have some great team players. I have some really great team
and it
players.
took a while to build up that team.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because you'll find as you grow, you're going to need your team is going to have to be have to grow with you, and
Yeah.
they don't always grow with you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
They don't always grow with
No.
you. And maybe being able to maybe you might be able to still keep some team members for certain projects that you have, right? It's just like even now we're going to go look at an apartment building, but I have lots of residentials. I have multi-family units, but now we're going into a whole nother level of apartment. So there's a whole nother team of contractors that we're starting to have the conversations with, because the guys that worked on the multi-units, I'm not going to pull them off of that to go over here. I want them to keep doing what they're doing over there, and then understand it's just a whole nother level.
Right.
From supplies to everything being the same, the sinks, the counters, it's just a whole nother thing that I'm going to have to learn,
Right.
that I'm excited to though.
And
but-
the other thing you're doing is what I would call step number 3 is you're staying close to home. You're
Yes.
staying in the Detroit area, you're staying in the
Right.
area you know.
Right.
Because I have people that come and they say, well, what do you think of the real estate market in Florida? And I'm like, well, have you been to Florida? Well,
Yeah.
no. Well, if you need to be, you want to have your finger on the pulse of the market.
Yeah.
And you do that best by being close to the property.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to get on a plane and go handle a broken toilet or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So you
Yeah.
know your market
Yeah.
very well. You
Yeah.
know your neighborhoods
Yeah.
very, very well. And
Yeah.
that's so important to successful
That's
investing.
that's very important,
is.
and I hope you all got a lot from this, because somebody even recently said, "Oh, they're doing great over in Africa." I'm like, "That's great," but I don't know that territory, and so I hope that this got you thinking like an investor, because this whole show was to get you thinking like an investor, thinking like an entrepreneur, and why really everybody should be an investor and always be willing to take risk. And of course, good calculated risk, do the education, but you can't be so analysis is paralysis that you end up doing nothing because you're waiting for the perfect deal. Really, it's just about trusting your instinct, right? Trusting your gut. So I want to thank Kim so much for being on here
thank
today,
you,
girl.
Jewel. Thank you,
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, today's show. Oh wow, it was really, really good. And if nothing else, I hope that it produced and provoked you to start thinking, right? To start thinking like an investor. I mean, Kim, the questions, the answers, it was like a masterminding session, right? I definitely want you to make sure that you also get her book, Rich Woman, right? Yes, I said Rich Woman. Go get that book and make sure that you tell your friends about this show, because we're always empowering lives, because we want you to know that you can have